Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melody goes,
Fire.
How's it going, all you minties? And as promised, I'm back today to talk about my top 10 DC Omnis released in 2023. So please join me. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, please don't forget to smash that like button. It's a very small thing you can do for us here on the channel, but it means the world to us. And thank you so much to all of you that have been watching our videos, that have suggested videos. And yeah, if you have any more suggestions for top 10s of 2023, by all means, let me know in the comments down below. So DC is a little bit different than Marvel, because I'm not sure how people, how aware people were. But in 2023, we didn't get a lot of Omnis from DC, especially the first two quarters. It's not until July or August that they started coming out with more and more Omnis. But there for a while, we went through a dry spell, and people were genuinely worried about DC. And then, of course, I reached out to them, and they said, no, everything's fine. We're just trying to find a new printer, and we're going to get back to it. And sure enough, they did, and we have some things coming out in 2024. Some of the books on this list were previously announced in the past, canceled, and I mean canceled for years, and then some of them just kind of came out of nowhere. So this list is really interesting to put together, but a lot of fun nonetheless, because I'm a big fan of DC Comics, so I hope they keep making more and more content available in omnibus format, much like the Marvel Omnibus list that I did. This will be not a countdown, not picking my favorite one, but I will put these in chronological order in the way they were published. So let's go ahead and start with a reprint that happened all the way back in January of 2023, and that is Batman and Robin by Patrick Gleason and Peter Tomasi, but by Tomasi and Gleason. I have no idea how many DC Omnis I own that have the name Peter Tomasi on them, but I'm sure damn glad that I do, because he's one of my favorite creators, and this story right here is one of his best stories that he put out at DC Comics. It's the story of Batman and Robin, but this time it's Damian as Robin, and this is during the end of the pre-Flashpoint and then the New 52 era. There's a lot of amazing stories in here. This is more of a father and son team, unlike the Grant Morrison Batman and Robin series, which was Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne. This is actually Bruce Wayne, not only having to deal with his son, but also a sidekick that might be a little bit of a loose cannon. And a lot of heartache in this one too, because of something bad that happens in the pages of Batman Incorporated. But I've done a Batman reading order if you want to check that out, when to particularly read that issue. But yes, absolutely, all in one, all of the issues collected in this big 1248 page omnibus. So if you haven't picked it up and you've been wondering about Batman, where to pick up Batman, this is one of the best starting points for Batman. Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Omnibus. This was one that was supposed to come out in 2022, and it just got canceled, and eventually showed back up in the catalog, and sure enough, the solicits, and now here we are. It seems like, oh, this wasn't coming, but it was one of the ones that they kind of relaunched their omnibus line in August of 2023, and this was a no-brainer to start with. It's a great series. It's the crossover with the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's Batman, going from Gotham to New York, and then from New York back to Gotham for another storyline. And I've done an overview of this one. All of these I've done overviews of. If you want to check it out on the channel, just search for the Omnibus reviews and these particular titles. But this one was one of my favorite ones, and I'm glad it finally came out. I wish maybe they'll do an expanded edition, that they would do the Batman Adventures and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon crossover. But Freddie Williams, my goodness, his art is just amazing. He's one of my favorite artists, and he has this anime flair. All of this written by James Tynion, and of course he went on to do Detective Comics, Something is Killing the Children, and it's just blown up. But this was a lot of fun, but also taking the characters seriously. We're not done with Peter Tomasi nor Patrick Gleason, because Of course, I was so excited when this book got announced. And we are going to get a volume 2, according to Peter Tomasi. And it is the Green Lantern Corps Omnibus. One that has been in so many people's wish list since the days of Green Lantern by Jeff Johns. A series that deserved its own omnibus. And finally, it came out in 2023. And while there were some mishaps with the way they solicited and a couple of issues that were missing from it, I'm still so damn happy to hold it. I think I even said that in my overview, that, don't let that take that away from the fact that this is still an omnibus that is in your hands. It's some great storytelling with phenomenal artwork, at times surpassing the wonderfulness of what was Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run in this particular series. Because, I mean, here you get to find out all the other Green Lantern Corps members besides Hal Jordan and who they focus on. And of course, all the crossover issues are in here, and then volume 2 will also have the crossover issues. But that one's not solicited nor in the catalog, but this one is. So that's why it made it into my 2023 list. The Phantom Stranger Omnibus. I didn't think we were going to get it. I was a lot like you all, that it almost became an ongoing joke for years that this book would make it into the catalog, pulled from the catalog. But I remember when it was in the solicits, and I went through the solicits of DC with you all, I said, I think we're going to get it this time, because it made it in the solicits. And I know it had before, and they pulled it. But this time around, it finally made it in August of 2023. The Phantom Stranger. Who is he? Who knows? That's not the point of these stories. While the earlier stories are very formulaic, but this guy that's just trying to help people solve these kind of Scooby-Doo type of mysteries, the occult stuff that comes afterwards is so good. And Jim Apato's artwork was the main reason that I was drawn to this. I haven't finished this omnibus yet. Pulling these books out made me reminded me that I still need to finish this one here. But the stories that I have read, because I've read 2/3 of this, were a lot of fun and just made me respect this particular era. That I've known, on my channel I've said I'm not very fond of the DC Golden or Silver Age. But there are some hidden gems within there that I really enjoy, and this was definitely one of them. Now, I kind of wish I had picked up the Dead Man Omnibus, because I do have the Spectre one, but missed out on that Dead Man. But who knows, maybe one day they'll reprint it. But definitely, if you're at all interested in this particular era, or this character, get it while you can, because who knows, with these obscure characters, when DC will reprint these Omnis. But I'm so glad it's real, it's finally here, and it made it in August of 2023. The Batman Adventures Omnibus. Oh my gosh, this was such a freaking amazing omnibus to read and to share with you all in my overview. And I didn't realize how good the stories were until I was rereading these. And there's an amazing quote in here that was told to the writer, Kelly Puckett. It was Dennis O'Neil that told him, you give people, you give them the same wine in a new bottle. And that's how you tell good stories. I love that. I love that analogy of, how you make a good comic book, because people always want the same thing, but they want it in a new case, a new can, a new bottle, as he put it, because he compared it to wine. And that's what this is. This is a fresh take on the character, of course, based in the world of the animated series, which was, to a lot of people, a segue into the comic books. So it was no-brainer that this was coming out. When Marvel did the X-Men Adventures, DC sure had to take that formula and use it for this, because this stuff in here, oh my gosh, it is so good. And we're getting Batman Beyond in a compendium format. Who knows, maybe one day they'll release the rest of the stuff in omnibus format. But oh my gosh, if you've not picked it up, it sold out for a while. It is, as of this video, all of these are back in print. So in case you missed out on it, and if you've ever wondered about it, go and check it out, even if it's a blind buy. The Dead Boy Detectives Omnibus, and it is part of the Sandman universe, the classic Sandman universe. This was a book honestly, I had forgotten about these characters until my wife, the Astonishing Melanie, reminded me of where the characters of Edwin Payne and Charles Rowland came from. And of course, they came from that issue of Sandman 25. And in here, you get to explore their world of the supernatural. These are two dead boys that became detectives, and they're trying to help people out. And it was a series with ups and downs. There were some good stories in here. There were some believe it or not, I think it was Ed Brubaker's story that I don't think he quite got the characters. But everybody else, oh my goodness, it was so good. It was so unexpectedly good. And I kind of wanted more of these particular characters. And I know there's a Netflix series that is coming, which is probably why we got the Omnibus. And it seems like, oh my gosh, we've just had about everything from the Sandman Universe classics collected in Omnibus format, with the exception of things like The Dreaming. Who knows, maybe one day. And then, of course, I would love these Sandman Mystery Theater to continue in Compendium, but also get a proper omnibus of that series. But if you've not picked it up, you didn't even know that it was part of the Sandman universe, it is. And it just came out in 2023. Super Sons Omnibus, the Super Duper Edition. Am I a super duper idiot for picking it up? You damn right I am. But I don't care. I love these kids, and I love their stories. And if you add Challenge of the Super Sons miniseries in here, I'm going to get it again, which is exactly what happened. This is the third time I've bought this collection. I mean, they've added, of course, the Adventures of the Super Sons in the second printing, and then the third printing, the Challenge of the Super Sons. And don't even ask if they add the Kid Sinestro backup stories to another one of these by Peter Tomasi. Yeah, I probably will. I probably would buy it. I'm an idiot. I just really love these two kids. You know, you have Damian Wayne and you have Jonathan Kent, and they're not the best of friends at first until they have to start working together. And it's such a heartwarming story when they have to work together. On top of that, you've got school to deal with, and we've all been that age before. We know how difficult it was to be that particular age, and with these kids comes the power and almost said responsibility. Sorry about that, Uncle Ben. But with with them they come the power, and of course the whole secret of who their parents are, because these are legacy characters that one day will probably become Batman, and one day will probably become Superman. As a matter of fact, there's a future story collected in here, and there's kid versions of the Injustice League in here too. But if you've not bought them previously, yeah, absolutely go and get this one as a blind buy. It's great. It's Peter Tomasi, again, making the list for the third time in this list. But yes, completely worth it, adding this one to your library in 2023. Batman, the Hush Saga Omnibus. I don't know which one became the ongoing joke longer. If Phantom Stranger, because it was canceled so many times, or this one because it was solicited 4 or 5 years ago and we never heard of it again until it made a solicitation. It was in the catalog, disappeared. It was like 4 or 5 years ago, and then it was solicited just a few months back, and it actually came out in November of 2023. And now it's in my hands. At one time it was replaced by, I remember they made a big thing about it. They were like, well, we're not doing the Batman Hush Saga Omnibus. We're now going to do a Batman Paul Dini Omnibus, which to a lot of us, hey, that's awesome. But I still wanted my Hush Return storyline that is collected in here. So yes, 2/3 of this is double dipping if you have the Absolute Editions, or if you have the Deluxe Edition of Hush. And then, of course, the Paul Dini Omnibus. But that Hush Returns in there that not a lot of people suggest, and rightly so, that is all new in Omnibus format. And complete, because it never got completed in trade paperback format. That's why I was excited for this one. That's why it made the list. Seven Soldiers by Grant Morrison Omnibus, the new printing. Not adding anything to it, but I'm so glad that they decided to reprint this book. It's one of my favorite Grant Morrison stories that they worked on at DC Comics. It is the story of the 7 characters that are not really connected until this big oncoming force is threatening the entire world. And then all these little miniseries, you'll start seeing some minor collection or connections until you get to the very end, and then you see the whole picture with this beautiful artwork by J.H. Williams III. But you also have Simone Bianchi in here, Cameron Stewart in here, and you also have the artwork of Doug Mahnke. Just to name a few of the artists that worked on this book. So in here, you're going to have Clarion the Witch Boy, Mr. Miracle, the Bulleteer, Frankenstein, Satana, and also the Guardian, as well as the Shining Knight as some of the characters that appear through the series. And like I said, not connected in the miniseries because they can all be read standalone. But once you start seeing those threads just being put together by Morrison, oh my gosh, this is a masterpiece. I love this story. And definitely essential reading if you want to enjoy the things that are coming later on, like Final Crisis, to understand it a little bit better. And to wrap up the list, in the year of 2023, is Young Justice by Peter David, Omnibus Volume 1. I think it's just called Young Justice Omnibus, but we all know it's by Peter David, Omnibus Volume 1. And I know he's not the one that started it at first, of course. It was Todd Zago, but oh my gosh, this was such a joy to add to the collection. And to have Peter David's name on the book up at the top, just nice. And yes, I'm very excited about that Aquaman book. And of course, hopefully one day we'll get Supergirl. And hopefully we'll get an announcement of a volume 2 here. So this is half of the series collected in one omnibus format. You have all the mini-series. You have the crossover events in here. So it's not just Peter David. It's also people like Chuck Dixon that help write some of these stories in here. So the main characters, though, are going to be Robin, Superboy, Impulse, Arrowette, Wonder Girl, and Secret. Those are your main characters. But more and more characters are added to the lineup, like Lagoon Boy and then Empress. And then you'll see in Volume 2 just how far that lineup expands. Oh, this is such a great story. And this is to be read before the Jeff Johns era of Teen Titans. So this is around the same time that Dan Jurgens was writing the Titan series. So we needed a young team, and that's where Peter David came in, with Todd Nauck supplying, oh my goodness, about 90% of the artwork in here. Big fan of his art, and I'm so glad that DC finally gave us an omnibus, one of my most wanted omnis for years, and of course it made the list, and it came in right at the last month of 2023. Now, if you're interested in purchasing any of these omnis that I talked about on this list, check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And those were my top 10 DC Omnis released in 2023. Let me know in the comments down below what your number 1, top 5, or your top 10 DC Omnis released in 2023 were. Any of them that you thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe DC is actually reprinting these, or I never thought DC would actually collect these, and what you're of course anticipating in 2024. But that is my list. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what other lists you would love to see as far as like top 10s from 2023. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.